Mr. Adair, this is quite a shocking story. I know you firsthand have seen the black operations over there at Area 51, and I'm a little shocked and uncomfortable with the idea of a former Nazi running around in a black DC-9 having anything to do with the black operations over there.
Oh, don't kid yourself, sir. A lot of former Nazis ran around in our rocketry programs. In fact, many, many, many. It's a great untold story. Right, David?
Yeah, and he's absolutely right. You should be shocked and a little concerned. That is not a healthy situation.
You know, and it kind of reminds me of one of the stories that Richard Hoagland was talking about on September 12th of this year, when he showed the photo of the Mars Pathfinder, and on a plaque on the Pathfinder there was a swastika and a skull and the Palomar Observatory.
And by the way, Vince, for your edification, I talked to Richard Hoagland earlier in the day, and he's done a lot more work on Pathfinder. Expect a show with him in the next few days. No, there's no great mystery about the fact that the Nazis were, in fact, very much part of our early space program. I think after the father of it. After the war, we kind of divided the Nazis up, didn't we, between
Sure did.
The Russians and the Americans, and then the race began.
Yeah, the superpower is born out of the same pot.
Yeah. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Art Bell and David Adair. Where are you, please?
New York. More greetings from New York.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome.
You are absolutely the most brilliant talk show host I've ever heard.
Well, I don't know about that.
I'm surprised. How long are they going to let you stay on before they get hip to what you're saying and we tune in and you're not going to be there?
Well,
you know what I mean. If that happens, I'm going to go running nude in the street and stalk my radio station.
Well, you wouldn't even be noticed in New York City if you do that.
Actually, I lied a little bit. I'm calling from New York, but I'm calling from outside of Niagara Falls, New York.
You'll really be noticed up there.
Place of much electromagnetic charge. Anyway, I just have to say, I didn't catch your whole guest's talk tonight, but I just have to say, of all the people that I have heard give sort of their testimonial to what we all know and have known for a long time, at least people like myself, is true, he is probably the most credible sounding authority or eyewitness.
I put him up there. I'll tell you what. I put David up there with Colonel Corso. I don't know if you've had an opportunity ever to hear Colonel Corso.
I probably have, but I just am not placing the name. All
right. Colonel Corso claims and wrote a book called The Day After Roswell, and he claims, I've interviewed him several times. I heard you say, oh, yes. And he introduced, he says, a lot of technology from a crash at Roswell into American private sector industry that accounts for a lot of what we have now, fiber optics and the transistor and a whole bunch of things.
I just have to ask you, Art, are you familiar with the woman? She was a channeler, and she has been channeling messages similar to what your guest the other night was talking about, the intuitive communication process. I believe that's definitely going on with mass numbers in our population around the globe, so that when we do more than likely reach that electromagnetic zero that Greg Braden was talking the other day, so that they can facilitate this change.
Let me ask David about that. David, I had Greg Braden on, brilliant guy, and he contends, and tomorrow night's guest is going to wind right into what he was talking about, that the Earth's magnetic field, and he can document it, is less by a factor of, well, if it was a 10 a few thousand years ago, it's a 1.5 now,
right,
and that we're approaching a 0 point, a center point, and that eventually we'll simply stop, there will not be any gravity whatsoever, and then there will be a pole reversal. Are you familiar with that?
Right.
And that the Schumann frequency, the actual vibratory frequency of the Earth, has been increasing.
I don't know about the gravity part, but you're absolutely right about a polar reverse. The Earth's core has showed us through archaeological meteorology that the Earth has reversed its poles several times already. But being the fact that the last time it did it, there wasn't any modern man or anybody around, we don't know about the gravity part. So we'll have to wait and see. But it's just an absolute science fact that the polls have reversed themselves at least half a dozen times.
David, if everything you've said is true tonight, then it's the biggest lie that man has ever told and kept. How do we break all of this open? How do we say enough is enough? I've had a million guests very much like you, people who have seen the things that you say you've seen. It's such a giant lie. How do we break it all open? Any thoughts?
Yeah, if you can get across to the public, or if the public can get across to the government a feeling of, I know this is a word not used very much anymore, it's called forgiveness. But if the government would do a full disclosure, which at the time they made those decisions, they thought they were making the best decisions at that time.
You know what? I don't doubt that.
And they really weren't a bad bunch of people. They're just trying to handle a bad situation. And, you just come out of World War II, one of the bloodiest confrontations on the planet. You're going to tell a world-weariest war that you may now have to fight an intergalactic battle. Yeah, sure, you're going to tell them that.
So, in other words, if they felt they wouldn't get their political heads or their literal heads chopped off.
Right. That if they would disclose, and we're all, hey, we'll forgive you, we'll go on and deal with this information, and let's share it and get it out here and work with it, and not be vindictive about it. If they do an honest, full disclosure on their part, I think they could. I think they're looking for a way out. The question I had for the Congress was, why do you guys let this hearing happen? There's no reason for you guys to let Dr. Greer and CSA have this hearing unless you guys are being pushed by something.
And what did they say?
It was dead quiet. I mean, it was E.F. Hutton in the room. And I smiled at them and said, let me guess, is somebody coming to dinner and it's not Sidney Poitier? And they did not look happy at all.
I hear you. All right, west of the Rockies, you're on there with Art Bell and David Adair. Hello.
Hello. How you doing tonight?
I'm fine. Where are you?
Well, this is my first time calling. This is the only number I could get down right away, but I'm calling from Tempe, Arizona.
Tempe, all right.
Yeah, I wanted to say hello, David,
hey.
And I wanted to say that I am an experiencer, and I have had contact with extraterrestrials. I can't get into that right now, but, David, I'm an artist, and I have a visual conception of the description you gave of this
engine?
Yeah, this engine.
Propulsion system.
I was wondering exactly, I'm trying to form a mental picture here, where exactly were the gills set up on the sides? Were they on the tentacles or on the bulbs on the ends? And where exactly did you see the fiber optic brainstem, so to speak?
All right.
The gill patterns were running around the two bulbs. You're right. You're the first person to ever asked me that. And the neural network pattern was running down across the top of the way the engine was setting on top of the bulbs.
To down below.
Right.
All right, David, hold on. We're at the bottom of the hour. The clock rules, and I've got to break away. From the high desert, I'm Art Bell with David Adair. This is Coast to Coast AM. By the way, in addition to my fax number, you can email me at artbell, that's ARTBELL, at AOL.com, artbell at AOL.com. I get a lot of mail. All right. David, are you there? Hello, David. David Adair. David Adair, where are you? David? David, are you there?
Yes.
Don't walk away from the phone like that, David. All right, first-time caller line. You're on the air with David Adair and Art Bell.
This is Sal from Long Island City, New York.
Hello, Sal.
Thank you. I'm asking David, can you narrow down the size of that engine more specifically? I know you said it's the size of a bus, but a minibus, a commercial bus, a school bus, and I'd like to tell you why I'm asking.
Okay.
I've just finished
reading a book.
Hello?
A Greyhound?
A Greyhound, but big.
Yeah.
So that suggests that it didn't come from the craft that crashed at Roswell.
No. This thing, if anything, would have been the size of the craft at Roswell. This is something else.
That's right. Because
all right, you were going to say why you were asking the question.
Well, that's the reason, because that suggests then that they got this from another craft. Something else crashed, and it was even bigger than the thing that came down at Roswell.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what? I think a lot of things come down that we're not told about, my friend.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard back in New York, but there was a gigantic flap in Seattle and Vancouver this last Friday. Something gigantic.
I was listening.
Oh, you were?
Program, yes.
Oh, you were? All right.
Right there with you.
All right. Well, the official NORAD/Air Force explanation is an SL-12 rocket splashed into the Pacific.
Yeah. Other people saw it inland, saw it hovering, saw it moving slowly like
That's
a blimp.
right. You've got it.
And saw 10 or 12 objects. 10 to 15.
Thousands of people, sir.
That's right.